Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. You see, I'm not a monk. I'm not a Buddhist monk. I'm not a gay person. I'm not a, psychologist. I don't believe that someone like me, who is in the divine order, who's a man, would have kind of a peace that would allow him to kind of be calm most of the time, what have you, without true love, without something like the ideal woman who's very fragile and sensitive and gentle and understanding and faithful and loyal and so on and so forth. Consider it a wise woman because something is missing. For example, if I burn the average person with a fire, they would probably say, ouch, or their reflexes would kick in, right? Because your nature is to reject things that are bad for you in that way. And to not, when you're an extremely romantic person and you're a warrior and you're not a Buddhist and you're not a psychologist, you're not these things that you find to be less than you are. No offense to anybody. But we got to be very honest if we're going to get to the heart of the matter here. That not only are you going to feel um, a certain way about being single and being treated unfairly by attractive females, but you're going to reject meditation. You're going to reject psychology. You're going to reject these various ideas and techniques and activities that people do to kind of come to a certain peace. Now, if you look at a lot of monks, right, they're kind of like skinny Asian guys. When we're talking about Buddhist monks, right? Sometimes they're fat. Well, they don't tend to be very ripped and intense African warriors. So when someone says, hey, some white guy who's skinny, he's friends with the Buddhist monks or something, maybe he's a psychologist, maybe not. He says, hey, I can teach you how to calm down. No, I do not want to be less. No offense to anybody, but you people are less than me. Now, if you didn't try to shove it down my throat, if you didn't try to force me and fume me and poison me, I probably would be more diplomatic. But I can say with a clear conscience, you people are less than I am. And it is profoundly insulting for you to say to the King of Kings that he should switch his religion and be a lesser. To be a fucking somebody who is dumb enough to try to force their ways on me is defective. That particular type of person. To be a fucking defective. That is outrageous. And so let's call it as it is. Let's call a dog, a demon, a demon. When you try to get me to be some kind of a fucking bitch, instead of accepting that you should give me my rightful place and compensate me for persecuting me and stop censoring me on social media so I can find a super helper, the answer is fuck you, and you're gonna burn in fucking hell. And you're way off. And really briefly here, when we consider the subject matter, it's fair. You have to look at what has happened here. The provocations, the insults, the racial implications of their insistence, the racial and racist history of mental health, the fact that token minorities are also not positioned. No one is in a position to tell the smartest person ever that he should take on their philosophy or that he's disturbing the peace. Excuse me, the government owes me like over $1 billion easy when you consider how many groups are involved in targeting me and over the decades that has occurred. Okay, I could buy a house with like not a neighbor in sight and behave any way I want. How are you going to cheat me out of the money you owe me? Fume me and poison me for years, piss me off and provoke me for years with a military-grade psychology, then turn around and say I have to take on your philosophy. And I don't see anyone from your races or groups rallying to help me out. Okay? Now they might say, well, they might lose their job or they want to be targeted too. But the bottom line is, if every German in Nazi Germany is targeting you as a Nazi, so to speak, and all of them are saying, hey, they don't want to face the consequences for not being a Nazi, then okay, then you're a Nazi. Then you are a fucking Nazi. You'll be treated like a Nazi. If you're not going to be a man or a woman, if you're a female, and carry your cross and accept the consequences for not being a Nazi, for not being a bitch, then you are a bitch until further notice. And if you die on your path, then you die a fucking bitch. And I hope you don't have any kids. Thanks for coming out. So really quickly, the purpose of that second clip was to kind of help you understand the first clip. And when I started saying things that were somewhat insulting, what have you, very insulting, depending on how you look at it, I realized that they needed to be said. So I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that. But notice that I have the ability to stop if I see fit In fact, I'm going to stop this video in about 10 seconds. That's very important to understand. I have self-control big time. Thank you.